anyone's mind. Like they might, but it's this kind of act. It's Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and Ted Cruz and these people and AOC and Joe Biden and all these people, these big names who are out there, not like the the mamby-pamby first term senator from bumfuck wherever who is just isn't saying anything, but you have people who are big and making or loud, one of the two, who will scare people one way or another. The thought of, because we lost, we're going to change the rules, kind of pisses me. It almost makes me want to go, sorry, Joe Jorgensen, I'm going to vote all Republican just because that scares me into not wanting to.
Right.
Which, I love you, Mama Joe. I'm still going to vote for you. But still, it makes me want to go like we're up against, and that's why the duopoly lives, is because you have people who make these outrageous claims, but they're enough to freak people out to vote against them.
Right.
And that's why you can't get a third party to even be invited to the party. And this is why, I guarantee, because that's going to be on every news network. Fox is definitely going to play it, and their pundits are going to talk about it.
Yep.
So you're gonna have, or maybe on the fence, or maybe I won't vote, or well, maybe I just I'll vote Joe Jorgensen, and they see that and go, I can't risk it because I don't want to see 20 justices on or 13 justices just so the President Biden can drop in another 3 and balance out the court or whatever. Like, that's the kind of shit that might scare people. So
no, that's the kind of shit that is going to scare people.
Thinking with her head.
Yeah,
just talking to talk.
Yeah, well, she has definitely picked up the rhetoric to get everybody riled up, because that's all. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like you said, this right here might just have everybody go, oh, sorry, Mama Joe. Sad as it may sound, but I think everyone's going to start going towards the MAGA train on this one, because just on this reaction. I think that's why a lot of people are waiting. Okay, yeah. Look, so while we were talking, Facebook went down, but Twitter was up. So all I did was just reboot Facebook. But Twitter's been broadcasting with no hiccup. So Facebook be Facebooking, and there was no disconnection on the podcast recording. So if you just can't stop licking on Facebook, then you'll probably have just noticed there were some service interruptions there. But on the other platforms, they were good to go.
See, we start speaking some truth, and all of a sudden,
yeah, you notice that? I didn't want to say that.
We start speaking some truth, and all of a sudden,
yeah, we start speaking truth. There, look what happens. We start speaking truth, and look what happens.
Look, I'm not a prophet. I'm not. I don't even think I'm that smart. I'm just reading the tea leaves as they come out.
Right.
I think that this is going to be a Trump election. Again, it won't be a projected election, but I think the ballots are going to come in because people are tired of the same bullshit. They're tired of the media. I think, honestly, Donald Trump is done while he's hit that drum beat enough. It's kind of like a running game for a football team. It might not work. That running play up the middle, just crash and bumble and stumble, might not work every damn time. But you know what? You do it enough times, it's going to get through every so often. And I think people distrust the media. And I think the media is doing a great job. Hell, people just trust social media,
right,
thanks to Facebook and Twitter, who are going to be seeing the Judiciary Committee pretty soon. Some subpoenas for totally blocking and censoring
right.
Hunter Biden. Which I think, again, that story wouldn't have been as big if it wasn't for everyone going, oh my God, this must be an issue, because Twitter and Facebook totally just turned it down and turned it off. But hey, and don't forget, the New York Post actually got banned from tweeting for 3 days.
Are they still down? Do you know if they're still down?
They're back up now.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to check.
Actually, let me see.
Yeah, check and see if they're still up. Because I know I'm not going to use no specific names, but I will say Hotel Bravo, who had a specific device, a mobile device that was turned into a mobile device restoration facility. His name is Hotel Bravo, and he's the son of Juliet Bravo.
I don't know, because the last tweets I see are from the 14th.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're definitely down. Yeah. So there was we wanted to talk about. What's funny is that the here's what's funny. Putin said that there was going to be. He doesn't care about. He doesn't believe anything about or has no threat to, or doesn't care about the Hotel Bravo information. However, Steve Bannon posted using a Chinese server, which is kind of ironic because everyone's like sucking on China. That used video. There was videos and stuff and emails and a lot of shit being posted on a Chinese server. So now Putin's good now and China's bad again. Which I think is funny when it comes to this Hotel Bravo story that nobody else is talking about, and I think everyone's like it's a personal matter. Don't think so. It ain't a personal matter. Sorry, if this is the way you think, you're not going to answer it, and you're not going to own up to it, and you want to avoid it, and everyone's saying it's Russian disinformation, and then Russia says, nah, it's not. We're probably going to get dropped again, dude, just on the Book of Faces, and they're probably going to get some hate mail on fucking the Twitterage because we're broadcasting on Periscope. But yeah, I guarantee it. So hey, real quick, we're gonna take a break. Few months, let's say a few weeks back, not a few months. God, it seemed like it was a few months. A few weeks back, hung out with some friends. Enrique Murillo, his name also known as Ranger Rick, and Pat Smith, who works with Task Force Dagger and goes out and hunts and scours archaeology. He's a marine biologist, archaeologist, and we were hanging out. And we were commemorating, the loss of one of our friends. And here's a real quick snap here of us hanging out. And there he is right there. We were sitting there and toasting it up for Rick, for our fallen comrade. And we shot the shit and decided, hey, why don't we come over and hang out and shoot the breeze with us on WTF Nation Radio? So he's going to be our guest in a few minutes. And we're going to talk about what he's been doing and what he's done. And he's the guy wearing the awesomely looks like he's wearing an Apollo Creed outfit, but he'll be joining us during after the break. So everyone go ahead and get your glasses, refill them, shoot the breeze and hang out, and then we'll be right back. So again, shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue. looking up and fading out. Cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown. Nature has us trapped in fear, so I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Constellation theme, mapping stars that are meant to be. Geminis are free of suicidal kings. This misty maze of me, so obvious yet never seen. Feeling though the fog will lift to find me lost at sea. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? Myself and I am so lost in miracle, far away from life. But I want others alone, feeling to be mine. Oh, I just don't get it. When will your heart beat with my mind? I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me?
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And we're back. Woo, man, we are hot going broadcasting on this 26th October of our year of our dumpster fire, COVID 2020, with our guest, Ranger Rick, also known as, Enrique Murillo, also known as Ranger Rick. What's going on, big man?
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, dude, thank you so much for hanging out, man. Well, first off, I kind of showed the graphic of us hanging out in Mac's Speed Shop with Pat Smith, and we were discussing, we were commemorating the anniversary of Riley Stevens, 1st Battalion, 3rd Special Forces Group, and we were toasting it up. We had a drink from our teammates' honor. And then you and I bonded. Me and you started shooting the breeze and started talking about a lot of stuff. And then, so real quick, man, just tell us about yourself.
Well, like I said, thanks for having me on. What can I say? Rick Murillo, grew up, was born in Belize, raised in New Jersey. join the Army because that's what my mom went and did for me. So she actually signed me up without letting me know, and I went and followed through on the paperwork, and I left the night, you know, and told her that night I was leaving. And as far as everything else, you know, just rolled on. You know, some guy with a funny red hat came by, said, hey, you know, who wants to jump out of planes? And I was like, man, that sounds cool. Let's do that. And then, you know, went to AIT. This guy with a funnier looking black hat showed up. You know, who wants to be a ranger? I was like, I'll be that guy. And then he started talking about 30-mile ruck marches, and I was like, what did I sign up for? Holy crap. And then went to airborne school, finished that. They separate us, and they put us in a corner somewhere. And these guys showed up with a bread truck and just started yelling at us. And I was like, well, at least we have a ride. And they threw everything in the truck. We threw it all in there, and then they slammed the truck, and they're like, what do you think, you're going to ride? And we had to run. And from there on, you know, ended up in a 1st Ranger Battalion for about 4 years. You know, great 4 years of my life, you know, learned a lot of good lessons. Left there, went to Korea for a year, decided that I could use a free plane ticket home, and end up going to selection. And that's how I became a Green Beret. And ended up 5 years as a Green Beret. I was like, man, this sounds cool. I'll hang around. And got shot in 2008. Went back about a month and a half after getting shot. Came back. Continued that rock star party life, which, you know, eventually caused for my, you know, departure from the Army, and, you know, continued on, you know, went down this little dark path, you know, this rabbit hole, and ended up in some issues, some problems. And if it wasn't, you know, for the tragedy of a best friend of mine, you know, Barry Barker, you know, he ended up committing suicide. That was the point in my life where I realized I needed to do something. I needed to turn my life around and make a difference. And that's what I started buckling down, focusing on what I needed to do. And I created a parking space dedication, Purple Heart, based off of being a Purple Heart recipient. And I decided to dedicate a name to the Purple Heart sign. And the first name I dedicated it to was Edward Dwayne Cantrell, who was a chief warrant officer in 3rd Group. Multiple deployments, multiple Purple Hearts, end up coming home. His house caught on fire. Him and his wife jumped out the window. He went back in to save his 2 daughters, and they never came back out. So it was a tragedy not only for the regiment, for the Army itself, but for the community. And he was the first person that I thought of when I decided I wanted to put a name on a sign and dedicate it. And that's how the parking sign dedications came about, as you've seen on our website. And eventually Barry Barker's birthday was coming around, which his was May 5th and mine was May 3rd. And I decided, you know, everybody was doing 22 push-ups a day. And for guys like myself and my friends, 22 push-ups, you know, is not much. Let's push it. Let's do a little bit more. So we decided to strap on our body armor and put on the name tape of those that are falling to suicide, and run 2.22 miles, and then come back and do 22 push-ups. And that's what started 5 years ago. And here we are 5 years later, where 5 years ago I was not in the place where I am today. You know, I am better than I was last year, and the year before I'm better than that, and the year before I'm better than that. So life is a progression now, and, you know, we just got to move forward and don't let our past hinder us, and just keep it going. And now it's just to encourage others that, hey, you can do this, and you can make it through this. So that's just my story so far, you know?
You know, so tell us about that. You were saying you kind of hit a dark spot, and then what was it that got you out? I mean, what was it? Because I know a lot of individuals, you know, that've gone down the dark path. What was the motivation for you to kind of pull yourself from it?
It was Barry Barker. Barry Barker committing suicide, because he was one of my best friends when I got out. He was a positive influence in my life, you know. But yet we still continued our party. But he took the moment and realized that, you know, where we were at was not working out for him. So he wanted to move back to Seattle, Washington, where he was from, and be close to his family, his mother, his sister, his brother. And he went to pursue a career in commercial diving. And so, which he did. He went there. He went to commercial diving school up there, DIT. He he graduated and he did a couple of offshore things, but of course his demons still catched up with him. And, you know, like I said, I consider him best friend, a great person in my life. And if you consider someone your best friend and you're not there for them in their time of need because you're too busy messing up your own life or you're just focusing on other things, then you're not really their best friend. So when he committed suicide, it was that point in my life where I was like, I need to fix myself because I'm not focusing on what I should be on, which is, you know, myself and those around me. Because in order for you to help others, you got to help yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Which led into the endeavor of the signs. I got on the screen the signs, and if you wanted to go through, you said what was your idea about the signs? What came up? What was your inspiration for that aside from obviously, you know, the passing of your friend? What was the? I mean, because this is ingenious. It's like a virtual digital memorial to me. I mean,
yes. Well, the sign, and it's funny how the sign came about, was because I went to the gym one day, and I had to park all the way at the end of the parking lot, and so I walked inside the gym. I'm not a big cardio person, and I looked at the manager of the gym, and I said, "Hey, you should have a Purple Heart parking sign out here. That way, I don't have to park that far. So, you know, I could park right up front. That's where it should be." And he was like, "Oh, sounds like a great idea, Rick. Let's do it." And then I got it. I got the signs. I went and purchased 2 of them. And that's when I sat on the signs and I decided, I was like, we should dedicate a name to this sign. You know, why just put a sign up? Let's dedicate something to someone. And Chief Cantrell was that person. What Chief Cantrell did was, if that was a combat scenario, that would be a Medal of Honor type recipient type deal, you know, but because it was over here, it wasn't. So that was my way of honoring him. Then right after that, I honored one of my best friends, Mike Lopez, Jose Lopez, their brother, Tony Oleas. By the end of 2 weeks of coming up with this idea with the sign, we had 5 signs going up in Fayetteville. So the night before, I had to come up with this, you know, with this ceremony. And just being in the military for that long, you know, you're gonna figure it out. So I figured it out that night. And that was the base foundation of the ceremony that you see nowadays.
Now, you did one, the idea of the code for it. How did you were talking to me about the code? What inspired you to do that? Yeah. And that was that's like Fifth Domain stuff. That's Matrix shit right there. So can you go a little bit about? I'm serious, man, because I went over there and when we talked about it and I snapped, like I said, I snapped pics of the sign and scanned, you know, myself already. So I'm just like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, with that, well, when we originally put up the signs, we were all talking and we were just like, man, I wish there was a way we could figure out how to, you know, where not only can somebody look at that, but can do something. Like we were thinking like microchips, you know, scan things, all different type of things. And, you know, and those signs went up. And right after a sign dedication was when I decided to do the suicide awareness run for Barry Barker. And a couple months after that was when I was like, you know, let's do another set of signs. And I went across to Fast Signs, and I noticed they had this new thing called the QR code. And I was like, what's on that QR code? What can you do with that? And she was like, well, you attach stuff to it. It's like the new barcode, but you can attach links, pictures, or anything to it. I was like, really? I was like, oh, okay. All right, well, show me how it works, you know? And she showed me an app, how to create it, and I created one. And I sent one to my friends, and I was like, hey, let me know what this says. And so they scanned it, and it said, you know, it came up, eat a dick. And so they were like, oh, Rick, you're an asshole. I was like, oh, so it does work. All right, cool. You know? So that's how I decided with the QR code. And now we replaced all the original signs, and we put this QR code on the top left, and we attached the bio and the picture of the person that the sign is dedicated to. So that's how that came about. Yep.
Through all this inspiration now, you said that you were working with other groups. And what what were you able to provide? And so can you give us some of the names of some of the groups you're working with?
Well, we started working with when we started the run, the Man 22 run. Mission 22 was going on, so we included Mission 22 into our run for like the first 3 years, and then just other different groups started popping up. Everything had a number 22 on them for 22 veterans a day. That was the average that was committing suicide. So one group that I've stuck with is 22 Until None, and they have been there, ever since I met them the fourth year. The fifth year, and we've just been going strong, and they're one group that provides so much for the community. And then there's just other groups out there that we've worked with, and now we have developed into our own nonprofit umbrella, which is Axios Inspired Foundation, which covers over myself, which is my foundation is called Through Tragedy Comes Light, and we have a sister organization, which is Off-Road Outreach. But we've partnered with many different other organizations. I mean, if you come to Bragg, you've been to Bragg and you've seen the many different foundations. You got the Dagger Foundation. You have numerous foundations around here, which we've all met someplace along the lines, but eventually we all branch out and create our own thing, and
right.
That's where we're at.
Right. What was what is the Fight the War Within Foundation?
So the Fight the War Within Foundation was created off Miranda Briggs in memory of her husband, Garrett Briggs, which was a very good friend of mine. I hung out with Garrett here, hung out with Garrett down in Savannah. And, she created that after he passed away. Sad to say, I was second to the last person Garrett called before he committed suicide, so that one weighed a lot on me, and it was very emotional for me. So ever since then, I've been by Miranda's side with the baby, and just try to be there in support of them. And Fight the War Within. They help with suicide awareness, suicide prevention, and one of the big things they're trying to do is create a task force where when someone's in need, we reach out to who's in that area, and they would show up and be there for that person. I mean, we had a scenario probably 2 weeks prior to going down to Savannah to speaking, where we had a guy here in the Fayetteville area, and he was going through some issues. Boom, it came down the pipe. I pushed it out through my friends. Within 10, 15 minutes, we had a brother knocking at his door. Within 20 minutes, we had, probably another 10 people there to talk to this guy, so where we could be losing a life right now, we managed to, I believe we saved a life that day. And that's what Fight the War Within, that's one of their main initiatives. They want to create that task force right there.
No, it's, that's a freaking, I get frustrated. You brought up a good point. The 22 a day stuff. I go off a lot on that. There's got to be, there has to be more. I mean, there has to be something that we need to do because I always get mad when someone shits on somebody for doing the 22 a day. I'm not saying, that anybody else is not, but at least get that awareness out and at least get that acknowledgement. Do you think that there's a lot of individuals that I don't know, maybe need to get the shit shook out of them to realize that they need to be there if they say they're going to be there for somebody?
Oh, yes, definitely. If you're, everybody, we talk about raising awareness, doing your 22 push-ups a day. Okay, cool. You're raising awareness. You're encouraging other people to do it, but the real thing is that you got to be able to make that phone call as long as you got to be able to receive that phone call, and I look at it where we can't always receive the phone calls. We've got something going on, but if you see you have a missed call from a friend who barely ever calls you or never calls you, and you got to be able to receive that phone call as long as you make that phone call. So when people are out there raising awareness, doing different type of things, that's cool. Kudos to you. But what else are you doing besides that?
Right.
And I challenge people, and, I've got a lot of slack for it because I say, okay, cool. You did your 22 push-ups. You get up and that's it. You're not out of breath. You're not tired. You're not sweating. you just, oh, here's my 22 push-ups, let me get up. I mean, I understand it's easy for some of us and it's hard for others, but still, if you're not winded, you're not sweating, you're not understanding the struggles. So I stepped it up a little, say, hey, let's do 22 pull-ups and let's do 22 pounds on top of that, you know? And the concept behind that was I knew I couldn't do 22 pull-ups straight with body armor on me. But the fact that I know that I'm going to get on that bar and not complete it, but get off the bar, but knowing that I have to get back on it again until I finish it, that's the struggle. That's the struggle. It takes a lot to get back on the bar, get back on the bike, or get back on the path of life that we choose, you know, and a lot of people just want to quit. Don't quit, you know, but at the same time, if you're here trying to raise awareness and you're trying to let people understand what's going on, then, you know, the struggle is real more days than it is past then. More it is now. So if you want to help bring awareness, then you got to understand what it's like to have weight on your back. You got to understand what it's like to sweat. Understand the struggle. So out there, you're doing your challenges, increase those struggles on your challenges. That way people can see you struggle and they're like, okay, well, this person is actually making a difference and he's actually pushing himself. So that will encourage other people to push themselves and don't quit.
Yeah, that's another thing too. What was the? How many of these challenges have you done so far? I got screenshots right now and pictures rolling up of you know, looking all fly and sexy in your you know, your Apollo Creed trunks and your body armor. So I got one. You have a fan on the staff right now, by the way, who's wishing that she was on tonight because she was like, oh, when's he coming on? I want to see him and boss. So she's a major fan. She asked me a question. How many of these have you done? She asked me how many of these events have you done, and do they travel? Like, do you travel around to do these events?
Well, as far as when we're talking about the suicide awareness run, we're on our 5th year. So, I mean, the first year we did the run was 50 people. The second year was 80. Third year was 300. Fourth year was 450. This year was 1,000 people, you know, and at the same time, we were able to raise money, you know, to give to 7 different organizations that help prevent suicide awareness, and support the community. And as far as challenges, you know, to me, every day you wake up is a challenge. You know, you're waking up and you're pushing forward. You're waking up and, you know, when you don't have to, and you're doing PT, you're doing what a normal person don't do at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. As far as 22 push-ups a day, I did 22 push-ups a day along with some friends from here, Georgia, Korea, and we'd wake up, put on our vests, you know, get on the pull-up bar and do 22 pull-ups a day for 22 days. And I just started another one where I'm just like, hey, you know, I'm going to do 22 pull-ups today and just do that, you know. So the challenges are out there, and it's, you know, there's many other different challenges. I had a buddy, Chris McCard, about 2 years ago. He wanted to do a walk, 220 pounds for 22 miles, you know, and we walked with him. And I would tell you, I put that thing on for about a good half a mile, and I was like, whoa. And he carried that thing for at least like 8 miles.
Right.
And then we kind of transferred it out, and we walked all night. But those are type of things where, you know, he increased the struggle, he increased the pain, and a lot of people won't put 220 pounds on their back for anything. So, and his thing was, you know, he's not heavy, for he is my brother.
Right.
You know, and 220 pounds is the average of a soldier that you're carrying out of combat with all his body armor on, with all his bullets, his weapons. So that's about the average soldier weight. So, you know, you imagine getting shot, or he's been shot, you got to pick him up and you got to keep it moving. So that was the concept behind that challenge, and that was amazing. Other challenges, you know, just stuff about being there for each other. Those are the big challenges right there. Is, are you there for each other?
And you mentioned, and some of the stuff that you said, you went down a dark path. Did you at all? I mean, what was some of the lessons learned from that? I remember me and you off to the side. We talked about Veterans Court and we talked about mentorship. Can you go in a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, you know, as far as like going down dark path, you know, losing everything that you worked for, you know, all I knew was how to Ranger and how to SF, how to Army, you know, how to, you know, do all that, and then all of a sudden it gets taken away from you because of bad decisions. So now your life is in like, what am I going to do? So what do? You just go with it, and it becomes a survival thing. When I got out, it was other than honorable. So I had no benefits, no nothing. So I had to survive on my own. I had to, figure out what I was going to do, get jobs here, hustle here and there, make things happen. And, when I was going through my legal stuff, I didn't know anything about Veterans Court, until towards the end. And when it was over, I had a friend who was going through it, and he said, hey, why don't you come sit in? You'll be a perfect person to come sit in and listen. And then, if you want to, you can join it, and I was like, okay, well, I went in and I sat with him on his court dates. But my schedule was all over the place because I started school all over again. I started doing different things, but I would try to get in there as much as possible and just try to help people out. And because my legal problems are over, that don't mean other problems were not still going on.
Right.
But at least those legal problems are over, and I was able to tell them, hey, I can recover from this, you can recover from this. You do what you need to do, and then let's move on. Let's prioritize. First thing you start with prioritizing thing is, one, being alive, and the second thing is freedom. You have to be alive, and then you have to be free. Everything else can fall into place after that. You prioritize those things, and that's what I believe the Veterans Court helped me understand. You got to be alive, you got to be free, and then you can build your life. I've seen guys in the Veterans Court rebuild their life, and it was great to see that. And not have people judge them, but judge them based on what they have accomplished now. So,
yeah, that's key, man. We're one thing we do say it on, and we've said this before on WTF Nation Radio, is that anytime you pay your debt to society, and every time you paid your dues, that's it. That's why you call it paying your dues. You know what I mean? Have you thought about maybe going on like a discussion circuit, like maybe going on a speaking tour or something like that to help Joe's out in that aspect?
I've thought about it. I mean, if the opportunity comes up, I've spoken at schools, at after schools program, just in front of, at American Legion, at any type of VFW, and just kind of speak, about life and what it's about. As far as like doing a tour thing, I believe the sign, when I go do sign dedications, because right now we have 72 signs across the country,
right,
from North Carolina all the way to Florida, Texas, Seattle. So every time I go and I meet people, I feel like I'm sharing my story with them on how these signs came about, how I came about myself, to where I'm at today, and whatever veterans is in the area, because at this point I seem to know like someone in every area, and I try to say, hey, let's all link up, let's all meet up. The best form of therapy is reuniting with those that have experienced the same thing that you have experienced. Whether it doesn't matter if you're a Ranger or SF, but at one point you guys decided to join the Army, and now here you are. And you can always base your foundation off of that. Relativity is joining the Army, and now you can go off of that. Later on, you can make fun of each other and why one person isn't airborne and why one person's a leg.
Well, because they're weaker. But
personally, I like my air assault badge more than I like my airborne badge.
Oh, okay. All right, interview's ended. Good night. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. Now you're doing this. What's in the future? Because I know you were talking to me about doing some other stuff. I'm gonna throw a picture up right quick of us again. You were wearing your living in America kit there, and so what was going on that day? What was going on that day to where you were wearing that kit, and you were actually a working personal security, and you were doing something else? Well, I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, tell us what were you doing that day?
Well, no, I wasn't. Well, yeah, I was. I was one of the Gold Star, well, not Gold Star, spouse. She was at the State of the Union. Her husband surprised her at the State of the Union, if anybody got to see that. So Miss Amy Williams. And so she asked me if I would like to go with her to the Trump rally. And I said, in my mind, I was like, fuck yeah. But, of course I couldn't be rude. I was like, yes, ma'am, I would love to go with you. With all due respect. And then she goes to me, she goes, you can wear your outfit. I was like, what? No, because I'm going to be with her, and we're going to be in the VIP stand. I was like, I don't want to be that guy. And she's like, no, you can be that guy. And I was like, yeah, well, we'll see. So I came out here, had a couple beers with my friend, and waited for her and her friend to come along. So they came, they picked me up, and we went. And, that's what I did. I was dressed up which was my 40th birthday outfit. It wasn't specifically for the Trump rally. This was actually what I wore on my 40th birthday. Miranda Briggs, Fight the War Within, she bought me that vest that says Trump 2020, making liberals cry. So that was my 40th birthday outfit. And it just so happened it all rolled together nicely for this event. And that event, I tell you, boy, I walked in there, it was America as fuck. They were just like, I couldn't go 10 feet without people taking pictures with me. I did 3 interviews with the Trump campaign, and then I got the opportunity to sit behind all the senators, so I know he saw me with my hat, and it's been a great roller coaster. I made it to the press secretary's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also I had the Tom Tillis campaign calling me to do commercials.
Bro, I even saw that meme. That meme that where it's Leonardo DiCaprio holding a beer and smoking a cigarette and he's pointing at the TV. That was me when I saw you on Fox News, and I was like, oh my god, look, I was telling, I was like, look, I just met him. They're like, well, everyone's like, yeah, whatever. I had to drop receipts, bro. I had to show pictures of me taking a picture with you. That like you don't know him. Like no. That look. The press secretary had you all over. Because we got to pick, of course, me, I do my research on this stuff. She posted that on her Insta. She had you up there smiling, talking away. And I love it. I thought, like I said, it was awesome. Kind of wish at the time I wish I went with you, because I know you guys were like, when we met real quick and you're like, all right, gotta go, bye. I was like, I should have got her freaking. She even tweeted it out. Not only did she put it on Insta, but she tweeted it out too. So, dude, that was.
I felt like we were gonna get married at that point.
At that moment, you connected. Is that what you're saying?
I connected. I was like, I feel like I'm waiting on a plane right now, and she needs me wherever she's at.
So, with that, I mean, this is like hot topic stuff right now. We just had a new, associate justice now getting, sworn into the Supreme Court. We have a hot election coming up. What's your thoughts on all this? Can you give us just a little bit of what's going on? I mean, obviously you're wearing all your America stuff, and like you just said, it was America as fuck. Can you tell us what's your feelings about this whole thing?
Well, I'm happy that we got our new justice in, and now we're moving on to the election. And this is a vital election, and Trump needs to get reelected, and that's it. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I can't say anything else, because I'm just like, it'll get me riled up, and I don't feel like getting riled up, But with the other Biden and the other lady, just getting me mad. It made me want to take some Jameson after this. That's just all I gotta say. Trump 2020. Let's go. Let's keep our guns. Let's keep our rights. Let's keep our freedom. And that's it.
Oh no! It was just funny because they're like, first of all we looked at each other and I was like, whoa, that are you? I thought, like I said, I thought you were gonna go do some UFC, man. I thought you were, and then once you start, that's when you turn around. I'm like, oh shit, this dude is like straight up. And then that's when I got to know all the details. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, man. So, you're currently looking for some. Are you single? Are you married? Because I had some fans asking me, are you single, married, family? Wife and kids.
Damn! Why you gotta put me on the spot like that?
I'm just.
Yeah.
You said your
Sometimes
girl.
You shouldn't ask questions like that. Nah.
You said no. No, you said you had a girl. You said you had
to go national and say yes. I have a girlfriend.
Oh.
Thank you, sir. I'm so happy right now. Breaking hearts and minds. Now,
breaking hearts and minds.
I was making liberals cry. Now I'm just making regular women cry.
No.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love you, man. I'm so glad you came on. I mean, you didn't have to answer. I would just you could say, the status is status. That's what I mean. That was just a shot in the dark.
No, it is.
Okay,
it
cool.
Is.
All right.
It is. I made it public the other night when I said it on Facebook Live as I was giving a speech. But yeah, I like her. She's cool.
She's all right.
Yeah, she's all right. She's all right.
She's all right. She's like, I don't want to meet you. I don't want you to meet Ken again. We appreciate her support. I got as we're talking, I got pictures rolling up. So you said that you even got asked to do other promotional stuff for other Republican senators and Congress people. You gonna take them up on their offer?
Yeah. Well, it already came and went. So it's like Tom Tillis, his campaign reached out to me, and I forgot who was the campaign manager. He's like, some reason your name is coming across my desk, and we need to reach out to you. I was like, okay, well, what would you like? And it was basically a campaign talking about veterans. Tom Tillis supports the veterans. Basically what you saw on TV, I don't know if you saw it, but my stunt double, my commercial double is what I called him, Michael Graybeard. So I called him up and I had him go do it, and I was like, hey, would you like to do this? And he's like, I got to do this charity thing, charity first. I was like, I understand that. Make him come out there. And he did it. So I actually got called for one in Fayetteville and one in Charlotte. But I was in school, and then I was doing a parking space dedication in South Carolina, so I couldn't do it. Those things take priorities than anything political. So, but yeah, I don't mind, whatever I believe in and I can say and speak the truth about, I will say that and I will do it, and it'll just help me boost my platform when it comes to raising awareness for what I'm doing. And that's exactly what I'm trying to help out. Because at the end of the day, that helps raise awareness for all of us.
No, you ain't lying. I mean, did you think, looking back, that you would ever be to this point right now?
No. I mean, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was just like, oof, it was rough. It was a rough time. And, every year, it's just like, I still, last year I graduated with my degree in welding technology in May. Right after that, I went to commercial diving school, graduated that, got hired by the school, stayed at the school, and I'm like, whew, I can't, 2019, how can I top that? Thank goodness 2020 happened like this because it slowed it down. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to do much. But still, it only slowed down for people that wanted it to slow down. So
right.
Here I am again. I'm in my advanced course. We did our run, and we had over 1,000 people at the run, raised this, $9,000 and was able to give $7,200 away to 7 different organizations. We're rolling on our 72nd sign. I just graduated my advanced course for remote operational vehicles underwater, and I'm getting ready to go do a sign dedication in Atlanta, followed by hosting a sign dedication in Houston for Veterans Day, followed by starting my advanced underwater welding course in December for 2 weeks. So, the year is going, and that's it. And then, next year, this is just a example of, hey, I need to step it up next year.
That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about.
Eventually, I'll be an astronaut. That's the way this thing's going.
You gonna apply for Space Force?
Be an astronaut somewhere.
They found They found water on the moon, right?
No, sweet, because we need water. Definitely.
So
definitely need water.
So can you give us what's on the calendar for what do you got going on for the rest of the month and for November? You got any events you want to go ahead and just start pushing out right now?
Oh, what I just said. We have a parking space dedication in Rockmart, Georgia.
Okay.
This Saturday, October 31st.
Okay.
And we have that, and then after that, I come back, and then it's prep again for another dedication outside of Houston, Texas. Then after that, I have my my school that I'm going to go to.
Yeah.
So the parking dedication, like I said, I'll keep that posted.
Okay,
you know,
cool.
We do flyers. We push all that out. So if people are in the area, you're in the area, you know, I would love for people to come out and experience that. You know, we've got Florida lined up. We've got San Antonio lined up. You know, and then like I made a post today about where I was going next, and I have a couple of friends get on there and they're like, we need you to come to Kentucky. We need you to come to Missouri. We need you to come here in honor. And one thing I say is that we're up to 72 signs, which is 72 too many, but now we're 1 too less. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I wanted it something so that way the audience knows that if they're in those specific areas at that time, then you know you could give us, you know, man, you can always shoot the front desk all the dedications and stuff like that. We'll be more than happy to post it, and share your stuff. We got no issue with that. But I do have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's in Skydive Spaceland, so that's the name of the drop zone that actually, you know, they made a contract with me to put up a dedication at every one of their 5 locations. So that's what I'm trying to follow through right now. So Skydive Spaceland Atlanta, Skydive Spaceland Houston, Skydive Spaceland San Antonio, and Skydive Spaceland Clewiston, Florida, I believe is the name. So I already did Dallas. Now I'm going to do the other 4, and that's what's on my radar as far as parking space dedication. And then we start prepping for our next Man 22 Suicide Run, which will be May 22nd in Rayford, North Carolina.
Well, that sounds gonna be fun. And it's the 2.2 miles with 22 with the kit plates, and then
yes,
and
2.22 miles. Wearing body armor, wearing the name tapes of those fallen. And if people don't want to wear body armor, they can purchase a shirt. The shirt has a Velcro sewn on the sleeve, so they can put those name tapes on that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm just going through right now. Oh, and Eli just posted something.
Uh-oh.
She's
that's her.
That's her.
That's who I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I already. Hey, what's up, Eli? Yeah, just let us know, man, and let us know all the dates and stuff like that. Specifically, like send us like I don't want to say like a calendar chart notification or something like that, but just a little something so that way we can put it on our events list or something like that. In the event any of our fans in their area, because we're like I said, we have fans all over the country and all over the world that wouldn't mind attending some of these things, and all obviously will include the I think personally, I'm all about the outreach. You know what I mean? I'm all about the awareness, man. I just don't understand how is it that individuals are still, with all the stuff that we have thrown out there, why it's just like, it's sad, man, that they have that, permanent solution to a temporary problem, man. It's just frustrating me. It sucks.
Yep. That's exactly what it is, and, many different things I've told friends, I've told people, life won't be the same without you here tomorrow. Just think about that.
Yeah. For sure.
And sometimes it's they need tough love, and the tough love comes from, hey man, if you do this or you decide to go down that road, guess what? Now we all are going to be back here. We're all going to have to do your funeral. We're all going to have to take care of your family, because that's what we will do as brothers. It's not because we want to do it, it's because you're letting us do it. So rather you stay here and take care of what you need to take care of, and let us help you out.
Right.
But sometimes people need that tough love to come across, rather than, hey, let me baby you, this and that. We're soldiers, we're veterans,
yeah,
we're first responders. We're tough to begin with, so why not give them some of that tough love?
Yeah.
Let them know, hey, get it together, buckle it up, regroup, reorganize, take a knee, drink water, Ranger.
Yeah, that's another thing. See, a lot of individuals they freak out when I tell people, because my side, I'm the same way. I kind of give them some tough love, and people are like, why did you say that? You're not going to make it worse. Or I'm thinking, dude, the whole reason why the veteran community has is because they miss the brotherhood and they miss the camaraderie. So I would talk to them just like we were talking in the team room, man. If I was down and somebody told me the same thing, I'd be the same way. I'd be like, oh shit, yeah, you're my bad. You're good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's fucking frustrating,
exactly.
man. I hate that stigma of being that way. I hate the stigma of that's the way I want to help somebody out, by pulling them through, helping them out, pulling. It's almost like getting your mission. It's like just like we're out, but just because I'm out doesn't mean that I don't have a specific mission set and a mindset for my daily activities in the morning. I get up, I work out, and I go through the day, check emails, field phone calls, but I stay busy. I continue, raise the kids, do the family stuff. There's no reason for me to stop. And then if I do feel down or whatever, I hang out with one of my friends and I just kind of like vent it out. Hey, what's up? And one of them will say, man, dude, I know how you are, man. You just need to do blah, 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 blah. I don't get sensitive and butthurt about it and make it, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't, maybe it's because it's a different mindset for some individuals, but I hate when somebody puts a stigma on the individuals trying to help in the way they're trying to help. Does that make sense? I mean, I can't stand it.
Oh, no, it does.
I can't stand it.
It does.
It almost makes it sound like you're overdoing it when you're not. You're just like, no, man, I'm this is the way we help each other out. But anyways. Yep. Well, dude, thank you so much for hanging out. If anything else,
I appreciate it.
And I got my coin up, so that I took a picture of the coin, so I have the I got the coins up, so that way it's the coin that you gave me, and I won't forget it. The honor, respect, and remember. Like I said, so I do have that with my exquisite coin collection. That's on my top 20 coin rack, and I'm telling you that right there, you're right. That also kind of I looked down at it and said, yeah, that's what it's all about, man. That's what that brotherhood's all about.
Yep.
But anyways,
oh yeah,
Ranger Rick Murillo. Thanks again, bro, for hanging out. I totally appreciate it.
Thank you.
And like I said, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, and while me and Rick shoot the shit, behind the scenes, and then everyone go get their glasses refilled and go take a bathroom break, and we'll be right back. So everyone get some shots. Stand by.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back. Man. Well, there was some news going on during the break there, Flash. You were just telling me what's going on. What's the dealio here?
What's the skinny? I never want to say that.
What's the skinny?
Well, it's officially official of the official. Amy Coney Barrett sworn in as Supreme Court Associate Justice at the White House just not maybe about 25 minutes ago by Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. I mean, I only listened to a little bit of her speech. It was nice because it didn't go, hey, we won, bitches. It was more of a, I guess it was more of a rule of law is rule of law. I will not let my personal feelings or how I feel personally direct court opinion. And I kind of thought that was like while the Judiciary Committee GOP committee, did that whole happy birthday Hillary Clinton. Remember when you thought you were going to win? Fuck you. I thought this was a little bit more of what the Supreme Court is. It still came out to me, felt non-biased,
right,
nonpartisan. And it was a nice ceremony. It looked like everyone was. They didn't want another super spreader event like the last, like when they announced her as a nomination. All of a sudden, everyone gets fucking COVID. But
exactly.
It's one last thing that we have to deal with in our political spectrum, because I guarantee tomorrow morning's broadcasts are going to be about what will she be deciding on, what's coming up, and then the afternoon will be like, it's back to the election, bitches.
Yeah, I know. That is one of those things that I'm kind of seeing what's going to happen right now, because everyone's going to I wonder what happened with our mission, our ongoing mission right now to pass HR 8276, which was the approval for the Medal of Honor for Alwyn Cash. If you guys and gals don't know already, we've been pushing hard. A lot of veteran influencers and members of the military community have been lobbying heavily to get his award upgraded from a Silver Star to the Medal of Honor. And did you see any news? I mean, I'm kind of like scanning the traps right now, and I've not seen anything about it. Did you see anything?
You know what? My friends in high places. I'm hearing rumblings. I know that something got stopped that was supposed to help, I guess, get this case. Something about this seen by the Supreme Court, but it got stopped. But I'm also hearing rumblings that whether it happens, in the near future under this president or the following, repeat or new president, that it's on the horizon. Don't know when. I'm hearing that it's something that it's being, shuffled and bumbled around in the White House, but I don't know. We don't know for sure. We don't know even if it's in the spectrum for the next year or two. But I think it's in enough people's ears, and I think that as long as we keep the drumbeat going about this, that it's going to be hard for our elected representatives, especially those who tout military, tout being, I'm a friend of the veteran, a friend of the soldier type stuff, for them to ignore the fact that this man deserves to be awarded what he should have been awarded the first time around, Medal of Honor.
Right.
And I get it. You know, it's hard. You know, how do you? It's hard to determine. You know, throwing a heroic act up for something like that, because Medal of Honor is not given to everyone. But this man. I'm not saying that it was, it's outright, that should have been plainly to see, but,
Well, from what I was hearing, there was a lot of details that were not added to what happened during the events until he was
until
later on, and then that by that time, and that's the reason why it's got to go through congressional approval again. It's got to go through, the legislative process. Due to the fact that there's a time expiration date to have it raised, but I just kind of look like they got guys that are Vietnam veterans that have their Medal of Honors. They get Medal of Honors awarded to them and stuff like that. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I really think that if they want to do it, they could do it. And I just think that a lot of everyone's talking about, well, because And one thing I caution everybody is to not get it political, but the ones that want to throw the political sticks and stones out should really be careful, because there was other presidents before D. Treasy that had something to do with this too. You know what I mean? So before
Barack Obama could have done it too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and that could have happened as well. That's why I was like, that's why I'm not
I'm waiting for it. Like I feel that our representatives are going to do the right thing, and this man is going to be rightly awarded. Our nation's highest medal of valor and courage, and I might be a bit of an idealist or whatever, but I feel like they're going to do the right thing on this. And if I hear anything else, trust me, I'll spread the gospel. But I'm hearing rumblings.
Speaking of which,
hearing rumblings is a good sign at this point.
You got friends in those high places too, in that world. You got any deets of what the Army's going to do about it? What has the Army been doing about it? What are you hearing from your I know, because I know you have friends in high places too, so in some of those areas, what have they said? What have they?
So a buddy of mine did, he's the one who's telling me that he's hearing rumblings. There's conversations, there's potentials, but he's saying definitely nothing's confirmed. He said, but there's a couple, I guess there's a bunch of names that are being, there's a potential for on the rise. There's a bunch of names kind of thrown out that are potential, but everyone's kind of waiting because, with this, it comes from the White House.
Yeah.
So the White House is going to make that determination. So they don't know. I mean, it's just a bunch of bumblings and rumblings, but, Cash has been one of those names that, has been in the circuit. So whether it's this time or the next time, hopefully it's this time. And I think we should go far enough and just rename a couple of, name a base after him. I honestly don't understand why we got off that drumbeat of renaming Confederate named military installations. I'm sorry, I'm going to redrum that.
Well, that's why I have at the ready Fort Alwyn Cash proposal, name change for Fort Benning, home of the General Sherman Maneuver Center of Excellence. Nothing wrong with that. I'm gay. See, I already had the graphic ready. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna hang on. I'm gonna reach out to somebody right quick.
So while you're doing that, so a couple of interesting things. So CNN and NBC did skip out of airing the Senate vote today, confirming Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Fox News and Fox News, NBC, and a couple other ones did, but CNN and NBC didn't. To me, that's another, again, it's there's a reason why people aren't trusting the media anymore, and it's not because I don't think it's 100% Trump. It's because of shit like this.
Right.
The squad members after AOC, came out and said expand the court, and the squad members. People of the squad of these first-term representatives coming out and saying to expand the court. A couple other things that happened. Apparently in a rare interview with Joe Biden, because he hasn't really been talking to reporters since he's been trying to, after Kamala Harris, communication director, came down with the COVID, and everyone's trying to keep their distance. Biden did talk to reporters and said that he's not overconfident, but he does predict victories in key battlegrounds, which kind of to me seems like he's kind of hedging his bets on that. And then Biden also, speaking of the Supreme Court, Biden did say to voters, that voters don't deserve to know his stance on packing the Supreme Court, which is kind of weird and interesting at the same time. So that's your quick break, unless you already figured out your person.
No. That individual, they want to get some details together first before they do another. So it'll probably be during the election show. We'll probably get an update on some stuff on what was happening. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. Well, real quick, let's do some sports page, because you know what? Dodgers, go Dodgers.
Straight into
screw you, Tampa Bay. I never liked you, and I never will. Go ahead, I'll let you. I'm sorry, that's your space. Go ahead.
It's the World Series. Yes, if you haven't heard, which is weird because we're actually getting some of the lowest ratings that that baseball's gotten in a hot second. And it's not just baseball, NBA finals, NHL finals, and even football. A lot of people are turning off the sports, which is kind of crazy. I haven't, but the World Series is here, and the Tampa Bay Rays, who won over the Houston Astros, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, who beat out the Braves. Man, and the Braves could have won. They just made some stupid errors. I felt so bad. My wife's a Braves fan, and as that last home run, just like as the Yankees lost to Tampa Bay with a home run in late innings, that was it. Tampa Bay, Atlanta Braves went down, and we got the Rays and Dodgers in the World Series. Craziness. Playing out of Arlington, Texas. Kind of weird, because usually home team starts out the first couple of games, then it goes back and forth. Not this time. This is a World Series with no breaks either. So everyone's just been playing because they want to keep on schedule, because they want to end by at the latest. Usually depends what happens. The World Series might go into the first couple of days of November at the very latest, if every game went full 5, full 7 all the way through. Doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. The last game, if we need it, will be October 28th. So let's talk Dodgers and Rays. Game 1, Dodgers came out swinging. The Rays almost looked like they didn't belong. The pitching just didn't, they just couldn't keep up with what the Dodgers were putting down. Dodgers putting that away 8-3. Next day, the Rays finding the rhythm. I tell you what, the Rays have this rookie. I want to make sure I get his. I'm trying to say his. I'm going to have to find a phonetic for this. There's their left fielder. He's a rookie. He has 24 hits in this postseason alone, which is a record. It's hard enough. You get such a short amount of games. There's so much going on, yet he's killing it. He's got like 9 or 10 home runs already. It's pretty crazy. Well,
Are you talking about Randy Arozarena?
There we go. I always have trouble. I had trouble saying his name. Hell, even Joe Book was having trouble saying his name, so I didn't feel as bad.
Arozarena. That's how you say it. Arozarena.
Cool. Well, I'll tell you what.
So Randy,
the Rays won't keep him because he's going to be too expensive in a couple of years. But he's good right now. He's really good right now, and for that price, that rookie price. So the Rays are able to tie it up with Game 2, winning 6-4. Dodgers coming back again, winning 6-2. I'm fast forwarding all these because Dodgers are up 2-1. The Rays coming in. Down by 1. It was 7-6 in the bottom of the 9th. They hit a blooper they have a runner on second and first. They hit a blooper just over the second baseman into right center field. The center fielder comes up. They're hauling ass around the bases. They're able to the base hit. It probably should have been bases loaded at this point, but the center fielder running up botches the ball. Not only does it hits his glove and then bounces hard off to his left, which he's got to go chase it. Runner on second, all the way through until he goes to throw it, fucks up the throw. Oh no, he finally throws it. he gets into the catcher. The catcher, you know, the rules have changed where you can't just stand in the base path. You know, it's been a rule for a couple of years now. You know, they're tired. You know, they were doing it to protect the catchers and the runners as well. So the catcher's not getting ran over by someone blocking the play at the last minute. So meaning you can't be in the base path unless you have the ball / there's some wiggle room, like if you're just about to get it or something like that. He's out there, ball's coming at him. He's kind of out of position. He's way out front, but just close enough that he could get the tag. Gets the ball, swings far to his right, trying to go for a sweeping grab, but he doesn't secure the ball all the way. The ball goes flying. The runner who was on first gets all the way, slides into home, and that's all she wrote. Not only did they tie the game, they won the game 8-7. I tell you what, that was phenomenal. Like, that's one of those playoff games I wish I was at. Not only is it a great score, good pitching, but then you have a crazy wild finish like that.
It wasn't bad.
I was happy to be watching. Yesterday's game, the Dodgers, you know, and decided to come back with a little bit of vengeance, winning 4-2. Kershaw, you know, only pitched 5 2/3, but you know, 6 strikeouts. Has you know, the second most strikeouts, I think, just under Justin Verlander, or I think close to tying him. Mookie Betts, I mean, I bet Boston fans are hating themselves because he's still, you know, he's been a force throughout this entire playoffs. He's been a force throughout, you know, this World Series. But the Rays decided. The Rays always like to change things up, and I think that's one thing that messed up the Yankees is when the Yankees try to do what the Rays do, they can't do that. The Rays just have they have better people in their bullpen than they do. They only have a certain amount of great starters. Instead of rolling out a bad starter, they play this piecemeal game where they just use their bullpen. So it was a bullpen game yesterday. It didn't work out very well. The Dodgers, you know, getting enough with Muncy with a home run. Corey Bellinger went 1 for 4. Jock Peterson with another home run, going 1 for 2 with a couple of walks. But I tell you what, that Dodgers are looking pretty good. I don't think they're gonna win it out, but you know, the next game is tomorrow, 8 p.m. Fox on Fox. If they win it, that's all she wrote. The Dodgers are the World Series champions. If not, the final Game 7 will be played on Wednesday, October 28th, 8:09 p.m. on Fox, and then we will finally be done with a crazy baseball season. Remember the game that was 60 games?
Yeah.
COVID shutting down teams for a week, where people were doing double headers, at least twice a week at some points.
Right.
Barely rest days, unless you got COVID. Then you got some rest days, then no rest days after that. We had the core play. The minor leagues got canceled. We had the core group of minor leaguers that people were able to tap into. The universal DH, which designated hitter, which I think if there's anything that might stay, I think the National League will switch over to the designated hitter instead of having to pitcher up.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's something that's I don't know if the owners can change that coming up to the next season, but I do feel that after it, I think it was tested because they didn't want pitchers getting hurt, so they thought this was one way to mitigate it. But I feel like owners are going to go, screw the purity of National League. I think this is the best way to go. So I do feel that's going to be a change coming in. But there's also talks of more automated umpiring. Where an umpire, I guess. I'm hearing different things. Whether it's it's going to be a running thing where someone's in their ear.
I can't wait.
I guess it'd be kind of cool because there's a lot of with the Houston Astros playing the Rays, there were some dodgy calls. It depends on who the umpire is. Some umpires have like these short, fat strike zones. Some are like really tall. They'll give you at the bottom, but not the bottom strike zone, but at the top. And they're they won't give you the inside, but you can get some of the outs. It's it's very. And then you got people who are so big and shit that like Aaron Judge, who usually he's not getting outside on the outside bottom outside corner. So if it's outside and they call it, there's nothing he can do about it. He can only swing so much.
Do you think with that though, is it still going to start changing up how pitchers deliver their throws so that way it's recorded accurately with AI with the new automated stuff? What do you think?
I don't know. Right now, from what I'm hearing, and I know they've been testing some of it in the minor leagues, is that it's the strike zone, like the box you usually see on TV.
Right.
Because I explained to my son, he's like, "Well, when I play, will there be a box?" And I'm like, "No, it's an imaginary box." I said, "They putting that on there to kind of show."
So he's picturing a real box out there. Is that what he's?
My son's coming up. My son's going to be walking up to the plate going, "Where? How do I know if it's a strike?" But it's something that's going to be like, how they when they do the instant replays and they have the people back in New York. I guess there'd be somebody who's going to have that kind of box and is going to be able to, like, in real time go, hey, that, if there's a question, go, yeah, that was a ball. That was way the fuck outside. There's some that are just like, hey, that's way the fuck outside. I don't know what you're trying to do. But there's some close ones that they might go, hold on, and then maybe confer. They're still working on those details. It's, there's a lot of purists. I myself think it is part of the game. Sometimes it works with you. Sometimes it works against you. Sometimes it helps pitchers knowing, hey, I can get away with a little more on the outside, but I'm going to get, I can't get too far on the inside. Or, hey, I can drop that curveball, that slider, right on the bottom of the strike zone, and I'm going to get it. He's going to call it, opposed to maybe something a little higher. I did see one umpire who was, calling things a little bit, a little too high, and I got confused. Like, do you not see it's outside his numbers, or we're just like saying fuck it, right? And then there's one that's like it could be a completely automated where the umpire's there to just make calls on swings and stuff. So there's a lot to still unpack when it comes to the automated umpire for the strike zones, but I do feel that I think it's gonna go in that direction. I don't think it's gonna be we're gonna rely 100% on it, but I do believe that it's gonna help with these tighter calls. I don't know if it's something that we're gonna have. Maybe it becomes like if I'm a manager and I go, hey, I want to challenge that strike, because I think that's bullshit.
Right.
And it goes to something like somebody can go, hold on, all right, that was a ball. And maybe you get so many challenges or something like that. I don't know. That sounds like
that's what I was curious. I was like, because it would be. I mean, me, I'm fascinated with AI, robotics, tech, and all this other stuff. So to me, I'm just thinking how it would be. How that I'm just interested, because then now the human factor is that now all pitchers. I'm just guessing too that they would have to now adjust to the AI as opposed to the AI reporting.
You're not going to be able to get away with some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, that was a breaking ball that was easily not according to not according to the Borg how umpired 5,000, was it like how 9,000, how 1,000? It'd be like the Borg,
I do think that pitchers are going to be the ones who are mad about this more than batters. Batters want the ball close.
Right.
If I can almost force a pitcher to throw more to me than playing on those outside, because they're probably not going to get all those calls, that's a big deal for someone like, think about someone like Aaron Judge or someone like Altuve or something like that, where you just got to get it close enough.
Yeah, I think Altuve. I think somebody like Altuve is going to have an issue.
Altuve can, if you pitch closer to him, he's going to put the ball in play.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a shit ton of power. He's got power, but he puts the ball in play, opposed to Aaron Judge, who you put the ball closer to him, he's going to hit it out. So I think pitchers are going to be the ones who are going to be more hesitant about this, because while you will get those calls that should have been strikes like they were supposed to be, which there was a ton of those where it was just like, that's a ball. It's like, how is that a ball? Literally, it's like it's on the. Anyways,
right. I'm sorry. We're.
I thought I felt like motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But pitchers, they play on those outsides. They play on those fringes because that's where their good pitches are at. They're close enough. They make you want to swing, but if it's close enough where if you don't swing, they still get the call. Awesome. But some of those times it's a ball, and they're going to miss these big pitches that they're able to get the strikeouts on. So, it might help both sides, but I think it'll hurt pitchers more, and you're going to see more home runs. You're going to see batting averages go up. That's just what I think. Let me correct myself real quick. A buddy of mine just hit me up. Los Angeles Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw passes Justin Verlander for the most postseason strikeouts, thanks to last night's game. So I want to get that right. And then one more thing, Rays, Randy. How do you say his name again? Go ahead.
Arozarena.
Arozarena.
Otto
Sets the record
Zarena.
for most hits in a single season postseason, passing Pablo Sandoval, who had 26 hits in 2014. Let's see, this guy is 25, and has 27 hits so far, and there's still another game to play and potentially another game after that. So he's got the record. I mean, so it's already like a pretty historic. There's a lot of great people, and you're going to see the Rays are going to be a team to beat for a hot second. Moving on, NBA's done already. We've already covered that. So is the NHL, so we have to wait. Big news coming out of the MMA. Hell yeah. If you didn't see it, they were fighting from the island. I do not know what time this match was, because all of a sudden I'm getting updates from Fight Night on the island, and it was like 4 in the afternoon, and I got confused. So it must be somewhere a little farther out. Man.
Yeah, I don't even know they were. I mean, they're doing it from the island, but I didn't know what specifics were going to be, thrown out. But you know what I mean? That makes any sense.
Let me find last night, because where was it? Man. Well, I had all my stuff, and it just disappeared. Here we go. Ah, man, these guys have tough. I hate these guys with tough names.
What?
What a pet peeve of mine that I hate is people who botch his names, and I make damn sure to always either I'm just gonna go I'm gonna say his name to the best of my ability. I hate people who have confidence in the names they're gonna say. I don't have confidence. Reigning champ. Okay. We're just gonna stick with that. Undefeated champion out of Russia, 29-0-0, coming in. If you don't remember, he whooped Conor McGregor's ass I think twice actually. But he's been just killing it, getting ready for UFC 254, going against American Justin. Jesus, that's another American with a weird Gaethje. I don't have phonetics on here. It's beyond me. Gabe versus Justin. There we go. Justin comes in with 22 wins and three losses. It was, there you go. It's for the lightweight heavy title fight. Before that, there's a couple of good matches. Nothing. There's some good ones. Like, I watched some of it as I was doing a movie marathon with friends. Meaning all we did was we drank heavily and pretended to watch movies as we talked and bullshitted around. But I did watch this fight for a little bit. Man, tell you what, first round was pretty awesome. Total strikes throughout the match. I mean, it was really good. It was mostly a grappling match, which ended up going into after at minute 34 into the second round. Khabib wins with a triangle choke, submitting Justin, and that's all she wrote. And what made this kind of special is the fact that Khabib's dad passed away this year. Is pretty sad. It kind of reminded me about like when Michael Jordan's father passed away when he was still playing. So he came out after the match when he was talking, and actually said that he is retiring from the UFC. Yes, he is done in his prime. I mean, 29 wins. He's has his title. He's been defending it quite very well, and decide to give up his. He's going to vacate the title, which could the vacancy could lead to another McGregor fight. Right now, UFC is options for vacant lightweight title to include Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, little French guy. He's son of retirement, from the MMA, left is leaving. Is going to leave a massive void, not just for sports fans, but in the sport in general, and for the the lightweight division, which is probably one of the most competitive divisions in MMA, unless you talk to the big ass guys over there in the heavyweight division. The top of the 155-pound division goes from a dominant champion in his prime to a vacant seat that, there's no one really set to take over. But the UFC has plenty of good options for, what to do. And it's a pretty deep weight class. So they really do have a lot of options to choose from. When asked about the division shortly after the bombshell announcement, UFC President Dana White said, "Don't ask me about the future. I have no idea." But they're talking. They have a couple options. So right now they're looking at, there's option number one is book Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier for just January 23rd. That would be a good fight. This is probably the most obvious solution, I think. McGregor and Poirier have verbally agreed to face each other on January 23rd. McGregor, who retired after his last ass whooping, his last win was against Cowboy. Damn, I can't remember his name, but it was in the first round, and it was with a kick. It was pretty quickly, but he had retired before that and then came back, had that fight, so he's ready to go. But obviously expectations that it would be a non-title fight, but this changes everything thanks to giving up the title and retiring. Poirier is number 2 in the UFC official rankings. McGregor is coming in at number 4. They're both coming off a win, although McGregor wasn't a lightweight. It was a welterweight victory over Donald Cowboy Cerrone in January. But hey, it's still, I think they're big enough names, and they're up there in rankings that this could be the fight to go with. Here's another option. I like this option because it's kind of crazy. It's kind of host a mini tournament in early 2021. We use the word, they use the word tournament in this article that I was getting this, writing this down from, because the UFC doesn't do tournaments. There is no, they haven't done tournaments since like the first UFC, back when, you had a bunch of boxers and heavy, I could punch him in the face, getting whooped the hell out of knows jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
While Dana White is not a fan of tournaments in the traditional sense of the word, he and probably will never will be, but the UFC could book McGregor versus Poirier as a non-title fight and book Tony Ferguson and Michael Chandler as a non-title fight as well, with the understanding that the two winners would then face off with each other. So it wouldn't be like the best of 16 going at it. It would just be, hey, let's take the top, we have the top, number 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5 go at it. And then the two winners, you have the shot for the title. I think that's actually, I think that's a cool, kind of a cool idea. So that, Ferguson Chandler would be the number 1 contender fight. It's more or less the same. But it definitely a different way to promote it. And I think it would kind of create the narrative the UFC kind of wants. And then I guess the one other option to have is scrap the McGregor and Poirier fight for January 23rd and book McGregor versus Justin Gaethje for the vacant lightweight champion. This one is probably the least likely. I think you probably see a tournament before you see that because, Justin already lost. He already lost his match. And I think that McGregor, even though McGregor badly wanted to fight Justin, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it'd take too long I think it would take too long to get Justin back and ready, considering, he just got choked out, and it takes a lot on these fighters to get up, get ready, get going for a fight, let alone, a fight just down the road for the potential title. I don't think it would create enough buzz, and I think it almost, speaking out of the Senate, would be a little illegitimate. I kind of like the tournament idea better, but
do you think that do you think the tournament aspect of it though could get clogged up? Because then it would go into some, wouldn't it go into some over bracketing? Do you think?
I think if you just have these 4 fighters, you have the number 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
And then, you have the number 2 and number 4 who are going to go at it anyways on January 23rd. And then you book the other 2. You're cut and dry. You have a mini tournament. It's already in the works. So I think to me, I think that makes more sense. I hate to say, give McGregor, he's going to get if they book it for, hey, you two, January 23rd, here's your title fight. To me, it seems a little like the number 4 because he beat one guy, goes from number 4 to champion without fighting the champion. Seems kind of weird. But if he has to face him and then goes on to face the winner between number 3 and number 5, I think would be, at least he had to beat up people who were ahead of him in contention. So I think to me that's the best way to go.
Gotcha.
Well, that's just me. Dana White doesn't like tournaments, so he might just say screw it. But I feel like it fits a good narrative, though.
Right.
I think it's a good storyline to it. It's like, hey, this, in a world where people just say fuck it in their prime. But I mean, listening to his like reasoning, like he's like, I couldn't come back here without my father, which is kind of paraphrasing it.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, brother. Like I got you. Like I 100% went, I got you. Like that made sense. Like, I mean, Michael Jordan, said something similar. There's been other people who, after losing, important family figure, been like, I can't. But Khabib's, his dad was kind of like, he was at these fights. He was like a training partner. I mean, it meant a lot to him. So, I mean, it would be hard for me to go back to something like that too, if I was, if that was what I was doing. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. It kind of sucks that he just decided to, but I mean, he went out on top. So, kudos. Holy crap, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, because Dana White's going to have to make a decision sometime soon, because I think, he gives them a little, if they decide to, one way or the other, decide, hey, let's do this to fill the vacancy. But I mean, stuff happens.
Right.
So let's go on to football, because holy crap, a lot of stuff happened. I'll tell you what, one of them, I feel bad for anybody who ever roots for a Atlanta team. Anybody. If you root for an Atlanta team, I apologize for you. This tequila that I'm drinking right now is in honor of you. You're suffering. You, as a fan base, have to do for your teams as well. So hold on one second.
Are you doing shots on air? Yeah, you
I'm
are.
not doing shots, but it's just tequila.
Gotcha, of course. Of excellence. Gotcha.
I want to skip, I'm skipping Thursday night's game. Giants lost to Philly because it's the Giants, and the division sucks anyways. I will say Danny Dimes, that is Daniel Jones, did run for 80, did break away for an 80-yard run, which is the most since 2015. I forget who the quarterback was, but it was a great run until he tripped himself up while running. He was at like the 20-yard line, starts stumbling and bumbling, rolls over at like the 15. Thank God they still scored. I mean, I would have been mortified if Daniel Jones would have done all that and they, the Giants not score a touchdown. But they were able to score a touchdown. It came down to the last little bit, but the Phillies were able to kick that field goal and put the game away 22-21. Carson Wentz throwing for almost 400 yards, 359. Daniel Jones is the leading rusher for both teams with 92 yards. Yeah, Danny Dimes can't throw or shit, but he's sure running it. So going into the games again, if you're an Atlanta fan, I'm going to take another sip just for. Every time I think you guys are going to find a way to fuck it up. The Atlanta Braves did have a 2-0, then it was 2-1, and then 2 games to 1. Then it was 3 games to 1. Meaning they had to win one more game. Then it was 3-2. Then it was 3-3, and then they lost. And now the Dodgers in the World Series, and not the Atlanta Braves. Ha, fuckers. Let's not forget when the Atlanta Falcons were in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. We're up like 23-3 or something like that. I remember it was like it was crazy. And I remember my wife going, no. And I was like, babe, where are you going? It's like, I don't care about watching this anymore. I'm like, why? She goes, we won. Or she's like, we pretty much won. I said, I'm going to go hang out with your stepmom. And both me and my dad turned slowly and looked going, there's a whole half of football. Do you not understand this? And slowly her confidence turned into shame and crying. Slowly but surely gave up the victory and then completely lost it. And Matt Ryan went, what the fuck happened? Good job, defense. Good job. Anyways, they found another way to screw the pooch. Up by I'm not even pretend I remember, but they up by just they were close. They only needed a field goal. They needed a field goal to get ahead, and it was within like two minutes and some change. They're rolling down the field. Todd Gurley, he's not getting a lot of big runs, but he's getting those yards in there. Matt Ryan is making those plays. Just about minute and a half, they're on like the 10-yard line, and they're looking good. They're field goal wins the game. A touchdown can win the game. They just need to not give Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions any time. Todd Gurley, I think it was they were on the 8-yard line, going down straight down the middle. You expect him not maybe to get a yard or two. Nope. He actually breaks away. Now, I think he was on like the 10-yard line. Breaks away. He's on the 2-yard line and goes pretty much you can almost hear him go, oh, shit, as he realizes if he scores this touchdown, that's great. That good score touchdown, but there's an issue. You're going to give Detroit Tigers just enough time to potentially go down the field and score. And they did. So they did. Todd Gurley unable to stop himself. Pretty much, you see him do this weird thing. Like I thought he was having a stroke on the field because he stops, but he's kind of falling over. And it's the only time I've ever seen the opposing team go touchdown. It was a touchdown. Like going up to the umpire, going up to the ref.
That's annoying as shit, dude. I hate that. When I see other teams doing that stuff, I hate it, dude. It's like
I was like, even Detroit's like, let's go.
Yeah.
It's a touchdown.
Detroit. Did you just say that? Think about that. Think of what you just said.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Said fuck it.
No, I'm saying about Detroit. We're talking about Detroit. We're talking about the Lions, right?
We are talking about them Lions. The Lions who did not finish. The Lions who were 2-3, I believe. 2-3, maybe some. I think they were 2-3 coming into this game. Unable to. They're competitive. They've been competitive, better than the record shows, but they've been unable to finish games. Like they said, it's 4 quarters of games. But Detroit Lions just can't seem to win in that last minute. And so with a minute and some change, Matthew Stafford, former UGA football quarterback, gets his moment. Hasn't thrown a touchdown all game. Was at around 280 yards. It wasn't a really great game for him, but within a couple of throws, they're able to get it down the field. Even they ran out of touchdowns. They ran out of timeouts because they were using the timeouts as Atlanta was moving down the field and within field goal range. Then Todd Gurley makes his accidental touchdown, which I'm like, well, that's the newest thing I've ever heard is accidental touchdown.
Of course, of excellence.
I mean, it kind of fell over to the side, and I was like, oh my god, he is having a stroke. And then he got up and kind of looking like fuck, and everyone on the offense is like, fuck, dude, like I know you want to score a touchdown, but damn, it's not gonna good enough to pad your record, your own stats. You're gonna kill us. So there was a 30-yard. It was like 15 seconds left. Matthew Stafford, controlling the clock very well. They pretty much were playing on the second down every time because every time he threw the ball, they'd spike the ball to stop the clock. It was about 15 seconds left. Throws the ball 30 yards, gets him to, I think it was like the 12-yard line, and they go down there. There was a lot of confusion. One, because I guess the judge back, the reviewer back in New York was like waiting till like the last second to like review the play. The Detroit Lions were set to spike the ball and would get the Atlanta Falcons offsides. One of the Atlanta Falcons got running back, ended up knocking over the running back, which created a lot of confusion. And Joe Buck like, oh, he wasn't set. And it was like, yeah, or not Joe Buck, there was another guy. He wasn't set. Like when you look back, like actually they were set to go, and he got hit. As he's trying to get back across the line of scrimmage because they were taking their time. 3 seconds left, so they ended up saying that it was a good catch, and it was a good catch, giving them. So as soon as they hit the whistle, the clock would start because it was a running clock. They didn't roll the time. So 3 seconds, he was able to stop. He literally had 2 seconds to go, and scores the touchdown, ties the game. And I hear my wife kind of walks by and goes, "Did we win?" I said, "Don't look." And she goes, "Are they kicking a field goal?" I said, "No, it's an extra point. They just scored a touchdown. They're about to win the game." And I hear her walk away, go, "Fuck!" And lo and behold, the extra point goes through, and Detroit wins 23-22.
That's unreal, dude. I can't. I just because I think about the. This is again, we're talking about the Detroit Lions. I've never have heard. You've never heard anything good come out of the Lions, ever.
They've had a couple of good seasons, but they can never seem to either get in the playoffs or get past the first round.
Right.
And I love Detroit Lions is one of those teams I love. I'm a New York Giants fan. I've always been a New York Giants fan, but there's certain teams that because you don't see them win very often, and they have Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford. I followed him when he was at UGA. Like he's one, and I had a soft spot for him because I wanted him to do well because he's coming from UGA, my alma mater. That's awesome for me. And it sucks that the team that gets talented people just can't seem to get it going. So I kind of while I won't root for them when they're playing my team, I will root for them playing other teams. Even though I was secretly rooting for Atlanta, just don't tell my wife. Thank God she's probably not listening to this broadcast. I watched them just like, holy shit. Like, it was a crazy last 3 minutes. Atlanta getting all, thinking that they got the game in the bag. They just got to waste enough time. Then they realized they gave Matthew Stafford too much time. And then Detroit Lions winning it 23-22. Holy snap, crackle, and pop. Moving on. Cleveland Browns are fucking 5-2 right now. I want you to just let that sink in. The Cleveland Browns are 5-2, beating the Cincinnati Bengals, who are an atrocious team. I mean, they have Joe Burrow, who hasn't really lost consecutive games ever in his high school or college career. I mean, still he's amazing. Throwing for 406 yards. Still dropped the game because, Cincinnati's defense just can't hold it down, losing 37-34. Kareem Hunt with 76 yards and Rashad Higgins, 110 receiving yards. I mean, Joe Burrow, 400 yards. He was throwing his little arm out. But holy shit, Cleveland Browns are 5-2, and I do not know how to take that. Cleveland Browns is another team that I'm excited that they're winning.
Right.
It would have, you pretty much go, man, I want to be, I'd be like, man, if I was in college, I want to be like a mid-round pick. Like, I don't want that first round money because 90% of the time, the first round guys go to shit teams and their careers just. Mark Sanchez was coming out of USC was supposed to be like this, this best quarterback, goes to the Jets and just butt fumbles and just like. How many quarterbacks went to the
Did you just say butt? Did you just say butt fumbles?
Remember the butt fumble from like 2014?
Yeah.
He pretty much tried to run the ball, ran into his quarterback, and hit him in the butt and fell over and fumbled the ball. Yeah, great. Look that up on YouTube. But Cleveland Browns always got these, Colt McCoy, Cleveland Browns. Now he's like, I believe he's on the Giants or Phillies as the backup, one of the two.
Right.
I mean, there's tons of people who go to these shitty teams like the Cleveland Browns and don't go anywhere. But I told people that if you give, Cleveland Browns had enough first round and second round picks that could turn around their team. And while it didn't happen automatically, it did happen within a couple of years of having all those picks, and it's starting to show. Are they a true playoff contender? I don't know because it's still they're 5-2, and you can still not win any more games and be 5-9 or whatever.
Right.
So there's a lot to go. Pittsburgh beating Tennessee 27-24. Pittsburgh looking good, allowing probably some of the fewest yards over the fewest points over the season. Ben Roethlisberger throwing for 268 yards, James Conner running for 82, and A.J. Brown, is your receiving leader with 153 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster was doing pretty well coming off a bad week last week. Carolina at New Orleans. This was a must-win for New Orleans, who have had kind of a bad go at it in the early part of the season. It's kind of been turning it around, going against a divisional rival against the Carolina Panthers, which I'm okay with because I know some people who are Carolina Panther fans, and I hate them. So
right, they're with you. I don't even know who they are. Who are they? Who are they again? The
what?
Panthers. Who are they?
I don't know, some kitty cats in the Carolinas. Losing 27-24, Drew Brees throwing for 286 yards. Alvin Kamara, 83 rushing yards. DJ Moore is your receiving leader at 93. Buffalo. Another team. See, like, I love it. All the teams that I like, the little engine that could kind of teams, are killing it. The Buffalo Bills going into New York, playing against the Jets, the fucking Jets, beating the shit out of them, 18-10. That's a weird score. Josh Allen throwing for 307 yards. He's your passing leader and your rushing leader with 61 yards. And Cole Beasley pulling in 112 yards from Josh Allen. It's a great game for the Buffalo, especially a great game for the Buffalo's defense. What are they now? They're now 5-2 as well, and the first in the AFC. It's kind of nice when, you know, Tom Brady's not in Foxborough anymore. This is a game. It's hard for me to describe, but I will anyways. Dallas Cowboys playing against the Washington football team. Both the NFC East teams suck. There's no more than three. There's no 3 wins in any of these teams. Every team is 2 and something. Maybe the Eagles are 3, but they even have a fucking tie, which is fucking ridiculous. I mean, we're gonna take a playoff spot from somebody, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. But Dallas came in and were trash, falling now to 2-5. Check out this score, 25-3. Dallas Cowboys went all the way from Texas to Washington to score 3 fucking points. They scored a field goal in the first quarter, and that was it. Couldn't get anything going. Partly, though, is because they lost their quarterback. Now, there's a lot of issues going on, and I feel like the next time the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys meet, there's going to be some issues because one of the defensive, I think it was the linebacker for the Washington team. I mean, they were killing it. Like, they were playing pretty good. Keenan Allen, you know, throwing for 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, was looking good. Gibson had a career day with 128 yards and 1 touchdown. You know, Ezekiel Elliott just 12 carries, 45 yards, could not get anything going. And there's really only one receiver for the Dallas Cowboys that did any good. Cooper with 7 receptions, 80 yards. That's about it. But Andy Dalton, you know, former quarterback for the Bengals, backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, but after Dak Prescott, which we hope, you know, coming from Flash, I hope you feel better because he jacked the fuck up out of his ankle and is out for at least this season, if not maybe a little bit going into next season. We'll see how he heals up. It was pretty gnarly compound fracture, but from what I hear, the surgery went well. Andy Dalton playing, it was okay. He's managing the game as best as he can. You know, they just can't get anything going. You know, it was a play where if the play kind of broke apart, he ran down the field. I think he got the first down. He slides to give himself up, and, you know, pop goes the weasel because that linebacker from the Washington football team just, shoulders the shit out of his head. You see his head look like just like pa. Like, it hits, and you see his neck almost like in the slow-mo, looks like it extends, and then it hits the ground and pops up again. Andy Dalton then was carted off the field, and he was out the game for the rest of the day. He is under the concussion protocols. The Dallas Cowboys, actually, their quarterback McCarthy actually was kind of pissed that his players weren't more heated after it happened. I mean, you're supposed to protect your quarterback, and as a team, you know, it's one thing if a player gets hurt. Dak Prescott wasn't hurt because of malicious intent or a bad play. It just was one of those things that just happened. Same thing with like Alex Smith for the Washington team when the Giants were playing him, and he just jacked the hell up out of his leg and got all broken up. It wasn't a malicious hit. It wasn't a bad play. It just shit happens. It's a tough game. But a quarterback sliding, giving himself up, and his head getting bounced around like a fucking basketball is kind of a shit play. And I was pissed and yelling at TV, and my wife's like, "You don't even like any of those teams. Why are you yelling?" I was like, "That's just a bad play." As someone who's played sports and loves sports, that's just a bad fucking play. But expect fireworks next time, Dallas Cowboys.
You don't even like those teams. Is that what she said?
Like I'm a Giants fan. I can't, I don't like. None of those teams are the little engine. Oh, say Philadelphia Eagles are 2-4-1. They have the tie, but no team has 3 wins in the NFC East. No, none of the Phillies, none of the Redskins, or the Cowboys are the little team that could, in my eyes. Buffalo Bills, Detroit Tigers, Detroit Lions. I was thinking of baseball. Cleveland Browns. Those teams that they don't win very often, and I love seeing these smaller market, other market teams do good. Dallas, fuck them. The Washington team, fuck them. But that's just a bad fucking play. That's a man's life on the line. And a hit like that, when he's giving himself up, it was giving up on the slide. He was clearly in the slide. Sometimes it's a gray area if he's just starting the slide, but he was in the slide already. He was sliding, so he was safe at home, and he just get his head rocked. So expect some fireworks coming into that. Green Bay went to Houston. Green Bay left Houston with the W, 35-20. Deshaun Watson having a pretty good game with I think it was a couple of touchdowns and 309 yards. Tampa Bay. Why did the Patriots let Tom Brady go? I do not know, because this man threw 5 touchdowns, or I think he threw 4 touchdowns and ran for a touchdown.
No comment.
Whooping the hell at the Las Vegas Raiders.
No comment.
45-20. Tom Brady throwing 369 yards. Leonard Fourier running for 50 yards, and Scotty Miller with your receiving leader with 109 yards. Man, Tom Brady looked like the same Tom Brady we've been seeing going, oh, he's going to get old, he's going to stop. He's going to get old, he's going to stop. No, apparently when he gets old, he just takes a couple more games to get into his prime, and then he just says, fuck you guys. They did add Antonio Brown to the Tampa Bay the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. So, he's getting a lot more weapons. But if you're a fantasy football team, you're kind of the same issue with, that's why you had Tom Brady on your fantasy football team, but you didn't have any of the receivers because Tom Brady is great at spreading the ball around. So, if you're looking for that one great player to just to get all these great catches and stuff, your chances are less likely, which is happening because I have one right now. Fucking Mike Evans. Kansas City going to Denver. Kansas City leaving Denver 43-16. Drew Lock for Denver look pretty good. 254 yards running. Philip Lindsay running for 79 yards. It was a pretty good game, but Kansas City's just they're on a roll. They're gonna be another play. They're gonna have another season deep into the playoffs. San Francisco still has a pretty hurt team, but New England, but they have Jimmy G back, and Jimmy G threw for 277 yards, whooping the hell out of the Patriots, 33-6. Cam Newton, who was thought when they brought him in, the savior.
Yeah, exactly.
He just needed to get out of the Carolina Panthers team.
Yeah.
He just needed to get out.
Exactly.
Fucking benched. I think count belongs on the fucking bench. Wait, I'm just waiting because what's his nuts is going to end up getting signed to play for the Patriots. I'm just waiting for it. But Jimmy G back looking pretty good after his stint on the IR. And 33-6. I mean, damn, people in Foxborough must have been pissed. Thank God there's barely anyone in the stands. Quarterback Minshew was on a short leash with this one because while he had success in the first couple, some good playing in the first couple of games, he's really been, shitting the dog on this one. So they needed the win. They didn't get the win. Los Angeles Chargers winning 39-29. Justin Herbert, 347 yards, looking good. James Robinson bringing in, running for 119 yards. And Keenan Allen, 125 yards receiving. Holy snap, crackle, and pop that, man. Seattle at Arizona. Arizona winning that 37-34 in overtime. It definitely wasn't because of Russell Wilson. He was trying to do everything, throwing for 388 yards, running as the leader for 84 yards. Tyler Lockett pulling in 200 yards receiving. Holy, there's receivers that barely get 200 yards in 3 games, and Tyler Lockett got 200 in a game. But thanks to the overtime, Arizona was able to sneak that out away from a really good Seattle Seahawks team. Arizona Cardinals are now 5-2, and your Seahawks, I think they have a similar record as well, are 5-1, first in the NFC West. So the first NFC West, their first loss against a division rival who's right behind them at 5-2, Los Angeles. at 4-2, and San Francisco 4-3. It's a really tight division, and it makes me feel bad because then I look at the NFC East that has a team that's 1-6, 2-5, 2-5, and then 2-4-1, and that one of them is going to take a playoff spot. Sucks to be you. And finally, hey, Monday Night Football is here. It's live, and it's happening now. We have the Chicago Bears at Los Angeles against the Rams. Well, I'm going to call this game, so I'm going to make it really easy for you. The Bears lost. The Bears, who coming in at 5-1, they're 3-0 away. Woohoo! They just scored points. They're 9 points now against the Los Angeles Rams, 24 points. There's 7:30 left in the fourth quarter. Nick Foles, he's throwing for 206 yards, but no touchdowns with one interception. Not. Oh, so they did get a touchdown, but it was a running touchdown. So now it's 10-24. Is it, that's what, 14 points? They could do it. You'd have to be like on the ball good. Los Angeles Rams coming in 4-2. They're 2-0 at home, but they'd have to get 14 points, and so 2 touchdowns in 7 minutes and 30 seconds. So best of luck to them. I don't think it's going to happen. It was a fumble touchdown. Holy crap, that's what happened. Let's see. Ryan Quinn, gets the ball, fumbles it on the 14, recovered by Chicago's Jackson at the 8, and then runs 8 yards for a touchdown. And then there was offensive holding, and then it was declined, extra point. So the defense is the only one scoring fucking touchdowns. The offense needs to give up some of their salary. I'm just saying. And that is your sports page. So much happening. We are getting to what I call is the saddest part is when there's there's really no sports. There's just kind of football. Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays, and that's it. But there is soccer. I don't want to get into soccer.
Blah 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 blah. I don't even know what that is. Anyways,
you're listening, and your team isn't shitting the bed like the New York Giants.
Okay, so
if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, punch them in the nuts because they deserve it.
This was the sports page. Of course, this is the Monday edition with myself and Flash. And then, today's guest was Major Rick. Came on, talked about some of the programs and initiatives he's a part of, and also talks about his story, and then how, going from being awareness for suicide, and also, lifting yourself up at any time you come to a dark spot, and good to see his story of where he is now. Tomorrow, Pop Culture Warrior Halloween special. If you've not submitted any ideas for your costumes, it would be some behoovens if you just went ahead and did it. Just go ahead and check it out, because it would be behooving to get your costume submissions in. Radar and CQ, we're going to be doing the Pop Culture Warrior Halloween special. They'll be talking everything Halloween. There'll even be some games that you can play along with, as well as a costume contest. And you'll be able to participate in the costume contest if you send your photos to the WTF Nation Radio inbox, posted on Pop Culture Warriors Facebook page, send to Pop Culture Warriors Twitter, and of course his Instagram inbox. And submit pictures of you, your family, pets. May the best costume win. And I think he just upgraded it to to your home too, so put your place on there. Friday, we have Brooke Frazier, comedian and social media influencer, will be on Friday Night Freedom to talk to Kaz and Pookie, and he is going to talk about how he makes millions of people laugh. He has acted and performed a stand-up comedy in Charlotte, North Carolina for 2 years before moving back to Mississippi. He performs as Papa. Papa's coming back. Papa's coming on here. That's what I'm talking about. I can't stand TikTok, but of some of the videos that Spanky makes me watch, because she makes me watch some of the TikTok videos that she laughs at. She's like, look at this one. I'm like, oh, thank you. He's on TikTok, and he's got over 450,000 followers. So he's got a little bit more on other social media outlets. He's a Trump supporting conservative who is pro-military, pro-gun, and pro-freedom. 4 days a week, of course. We have a show Monday edition, the Pop Culture Warrior, Sergeant's Time, and Friday Night Freedom However, next week, just let you guys and gals know, next week on Monday, there will be no Monday edition because we're going to be drinking some freaking Powerade, some freaking coffee, Cafe Bustelo, Four Loko. Remember, like I said, the last time we had our election show, it about 6 hours and 35 minutes of pure trolling, memes, phone calls. That's the time to do it because we will be on for 6 freaking hours. I have a feeling this
The Starbucks will be ordered. The bourbon will be on.
It'll be bad.
All computers going to see all the dribble coming out of all these different news outlets. It's gonna be
fun. I can't wait. So again, mark your calendars because you guys and gals will be able to call in and talk to us and tell us why you voted for who you said you voted for. Ain't no one's gonna hate on you. Ain't no one gonna shit talk you. Well, hey, why did you vote for this individual? How come you voted for that individual? And that's it. There's no whatever. And then we were talking about maybe having some other guests coming on that could be politicos, pundits, comedians, trolls. Name who you want to see coming on here. And I'm looking at maybe opening up the aperture a little bit to get more people on here from the Twitter sphere and see how that goes, and we'll see what happens if they show up. I'll be interested. It'll be interesting to see. Be kind of cool, because I really want again. God, I can't believe it. Like I said last time, bro, it was just like it was, dude. We couldn't stop laughing. I don't even remember if there was a show. It just kept going. It was awesome. I loved it. It was fun. Everyone, there was no hate, no drama. There was just nothing but us talking about who was there. We're also talking about, we were trolling. Again, the memes were fire. We had the Trump memes. We had the Clinton meme. Hey, feel free. We don't mind. We don't care. We'll post them up until Facebook closes us down or we get kicked off, but I doubt that's going to happen. But anyways, thanks again, guys, for joining us tonight. And if you don't have anything for me, do you have anything for me, Flash?
No, I'm going to finish the tequila and get smart, pumped, because next week is going to be...
Yeah,
man, it's going to be the pinnacle of
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
The
All right.
pinnacle.
The pinnacle. All right, you guys have a good night. Thank you for joining us tonight. And, of course, shots.
Hey, this is SEAC retired John Wayne Troxel. You're listening to WTF Nation Radio, the station of choice for all of the badass MFers on the planet.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Intergalactic horse, and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. And now they say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason reason than we wanted to. Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport now, sit back, relax, and watch us through the bubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planet of America. Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now we'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear our manly voices singing Space Force strong. Though critics say sound doesn't travel in space, to which we reply sound will do as we say. Oh, Captain Kirk, your achievements, though notable and fine, as far as we're concerned, this is Deep Space Mine. And big fans, but Lord Vader, step away from the lightsaber. There can only be one, of course. Space Force. Ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum, ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Space Force.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.